Hello, my name is Mo. I am the head of student corporation and a junior administrator here at Skula at EducationUSA. And welcome to this webinar. I'm going to be going through how to apply to US colleges. I'm going to dive in right into the contents of this webinar or this presentation. I'm going to briefly introduce EducationUSA at Skula and just some brief benefits of studying in the US. And I'm going to go through the major steps on how to apply to the US colleges, and then discussing the COVID-19 impacts on its fall 2021 intake. And so, welcome to Education USA Skula. What it is essentially a global network that is sponsored by Fulbright, the US State Department, and Skula. And what we do here is we offer free advising to students who are interested in applying to US colleges and universities. So if you find that you're struggling with your application, we'll guide you through that. If you just need to push on to find the right colleges, we're there for you as well. And so, why should you study in the USA? I'm going to keep this very brief, but most of the world-renowned universities are located in the US, and they're of course of high reputation. You have also they're very flexible with their academics, and so most universities will have your first year where you take a bunch of different courses from different fields, and then you'll go on to major with whatever you want to major in later in your second or third year. You're also offered a lot of internship, research, and career opportunities, and just being exposed to a new culture, it will really enhance your college experience, especially with the international atmosphere that's there, because a lot of international students tend to go to the US to study. And so, here are Education USA's 5 steps to the US study, and I will be going through the first 3. Number 1, research your options. Number 2, finance your studies. Number 3, complete your application. Number 4, apply for your student visa. And number 5, prepare for your departure. Step 1, I'm going to dive in right in. So, researching is a very, very critical phase because there are over 4,000 different universities in the US, and it's important to find the right one for you. And here are different sources that you can use to find the right universities. You can use College Board. College Board has a college search feature where you can select different elements of the university that you would like to go to. So you can select if it's private, if you want a private or public, what size, how research heavy it is, where it's located, etc. And it can be a very helpful source. You can also find more information on Education USA, our website, or you can even use the Common App. The Common App is basically the main application system. I'll get to that in a second. But there's a college search feature there where you can type the name of the university. It will tell you what is required to apply there, and it can direct you directly to the website of the university. And if you just heard of a certain university, suppose Harvard, you can just Google Harvard and it will take you to the website, and you can do some individual searching on what you want to find there. Usually pre-COVID times, what we'd have is college fairs where university representatives would come to a certain venue or perhaps your school near your hometown and present about the universities. Or you can read college magazines, and of course you can do that now. But now, well, in COVID times, a lot of stuff are going virtual, and I'll talk more about that in a second. So we have webinars, virtual information sessions, and you can even interview one-on-one with a current student. And a philosophy here that we have at Education USA is that since there are over 4,000 different universities in the US, don't try to match yourself to a university. Rather, try to pick a university that matches you and resonates with you, especially since you're going to be studying there for around 4 years. And I'm going to skip step 2 for now. I'm going to go through step 3, which is completing your application. You probably heard that you need to take certain standardized tests in order to be eligible to apply to the US, and those consist of the SAT and the ACT. There's generally no preference on which one you can take. You can take both. You definitely don't have to. Only one is required. And they're very similar in many ways, but there are some differences. The SAT and the ACT both have a reading section, a writing section, and a math calculator section. In the SAT, there's an additional math no calculator section, while the ACT, instead of the math no calculator, you have a science section. And both offer an optional essay that you can write. And you can find more information on the following websites regarding the respective tests. There's also, in regards to the SAT, you can superscore. And what that means is if you've taken the test twice or more than 2 times, and you can take the highest scores of the two different sections, the English and math, and combine that to get a higher score. So say you did very well the first time on English, but not so well on math, but the next time you do the SAT, you did very well on math and mediocre on the English. What you can do is combine your highest math score and your highest English score together, and that will be submitted to your university. But you have to make sure that the university accepts superscoring. And there's also a growing trend of SAT optional or ACT optional universities, but I'll get to that in the slide with the COVID-19 impacts. And especially since you're an international student, the universities in the US would like to know how good you are at English, and so they might require you to take a standardized test called the TOEFL. The TOEFL is an exam, a 4-hour-long exam that will test you on your English proficiency. It will test you on your reading, listening, speaking, and writing, scored out of 120, and you can find more information on the website here. You can also take the SAT subject test. Now, not a lot of universities, most universities don't require SAT subjects tests at all, but it can be good to show the universities that you're good at these subjects. So you can take them in biology, chemistry, physics, math, and a bunch of different languages as well. And so you can read more about it here. Most universities are optional, some universities recommend it, and so make sure to take a look at it. And now the main part of step 3 is applying, and most universities will require you to submit something called the Common Application, or the Common App for short. And so the website for the Common App is here, and it is essentially the main application system. You will enter your personal and family information, the type of education that you got, you have to upload transcripts, you have to list your extracurriculars, so your activities that you've done after school, and you would also have to write a 650-word essay called the Personal Statement that will be sent to most of your universities. Some universities will also require you to write a short college-specific essay. Most of these questions will be, why do you want to go to New York University? Why Harvard? Etc. And so you also have to ask your teachers to submit recommendation letters, and that you can do via the Common App. And since you're asked to submit quite a lot, it's very important to start early and make sure you submit all documents on time. But not all universities accept the Common App. Some universities in the Midwestern US, they accept something called the Coalition App, and universities like the UC schools, University of California, they have their own application system. So it's important to know what application system is required from the US universities you are interested in. So make sure to look at that. And I'm going to jump back to step 2, financing your studies. If you're an international student, you'll most likely be if you're applying for financial aid, you'll most likely be requested to submit the CSS profile. And that's basically a long form where you have to talk about your financial status. They will ask questions about your income, your assets, your parent information, and so forth. And they will require you to submit a few documents as well. And if you're a US citizen or a permanent resident, you will also maybe asked to submit the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA in short. And you can find out more information on the websites there as well. And I would like to bring up the argument of need-aware and need-blind. Need-blind universities are universities that don't take into account how much you can pay for the university while they're viewing your application. So they'll see your qualifications in terms of academics, extracurriculars, and completely blind to how much you can pay. And after you've been accepted, then they'll see how much you're able to pay and cover that cost for you. And only 5 universities are need-blind for international students, and those are listed here: Harvard, MIT, Yale, Princeton, and Amherst College. Need-aware colleges or need-aware universities, they will look into how much you can pay in addition to your academic status and your extracurriculars and so forth. And there are different ways of financing your studies in the US. You can be given merit-based scholarships, so scholarship based on how good your grades are. You can be given need-based scholarships, and those are basically scholarships that they give out to you. They don't have to be repaid just because you're not able to finance your studies and they want to support you through it. Or you can apply to outside or external scholarships, and those are not given by the institution, not by the university. You apply to those via another source. They just don't come from the university. You can get loans that have to be repaid after you're done with your studies, or you can do on-campus work or work study, which is essentially working after your lectures or during a holiday, and then you'll get money and you can use those to finance your studies. Another important point I would like to mention regarding step 2 is that location does matter, because costs for housing and food vary depending on where you live and study. Mostly the South and the Midwest of the US generally have the lowest cost of living, so that could be something to take into account for. And you can find more information on our website, EducationUSA, for financial aid and scholarships. And if you genuinely can't find the information that you want to, it's never wrong to contact the financial department at the university and just ask them the following question. What need-based and/or merit-based aid does the university offer to international students? And maybe then you'll get a clearer response. Now, the impact of COVID-19 on fall 2021 intake, we know this has not been a very easy year, and so a lot of SATs and ACTs in the US are getting canceled or even postponed. And so, in response to that, many universities are going standardized test optional. So they no longer require you to submit the SAT or the ACT when you're applying. And so, they say that this will not disadvantage anyone because some people genuinely cannot take the SAT due to many circumstances. And so most of the times, universities will still require you to take the TOEFL exam as an international student, but that's something you have to look out for and see what the university is requiring you to apply. Since standardized tests are getting canceled, there might be put more emphasis on your essays, your letter of recommendation, final grades, and extracurriculars. So make sure you pay attention to that. And in response to the whole COVID-19 situation, universities can't travel to different countries and promote their universities. And so what's happening now is there's a lot of virtual tours, a lot of information sessions like the ones they usually hold at the college fairs and so forth. And you can even book one-on-one interviews with admissions counselors, alumni, or current students. And you get a clearer picture of what studying in that university is like. And we, at the Education USA, at Mount Boya School, we promote a lot of events. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram and Facebook to find out more about these events. And so here's a brief summary of the presentation. Make sure to research. Number one, find out which university you match with, because there are over 4,000 different universities in the US, and make sure that you want to go to the one you want to go to. Number two, applying to the US is quite a long application, so make sure you're committed to applying to the US and submit all the required documents on time. Number three, ask for help. We know the application can be long, perhaps some can be confusing for some people. We are here to guide you through every step of the process. And number four, stay updated. New updates always are coming regarding the COVID-19 impacts on admissions, so make sure you stay updated. And so, thank you so much for watching this presentation, this webinar. If you have any questions, make sure to ask us via email on educationusa@malmo.se, and make sure to follow us on our Facebook and our Instagram, and they're listed here. We post a lot of events and a lot of reminders when it comes to applications, so it can be very helpful to follow us there. And before I end this webinar, here are the different resources that I mentioned throughout my presentation. So if you're interested, you can screenshot or you can save this slide, and it can be of some use to you. In that case, that being said, thank you so much for watching this presentation. I hope this has been helpful, and I wish you the best of luck with applying.